Hi, I'm Dee Dee, and this is Pet Pals. And as you can plainly see, if you're a regular viewer, my cohort Randy is not here today. So this episode might be quite the adventure for all of us. We are at Frederick County Animal Control, and I want to show you some adoptable pets, cats, dogs, and rabbits, that we have available in Frederick County for adoption. And my first guest is Daisy. And Daisy was born, we don't exactly know her birthday, but she is about a year old, and she was given up to the shelter because her family was moving and was not able to take her along with them. And since she's only about a year old, then that means that, as you can see, she's very petite little brown tabby. That means that she's still gonna have some of her kitten behaviors, and she still has plenty of time left to enjoy her life and get to know a family. But she is past the kitten stage. And this time of year at the animal shelter, actually every day between about April 15th and the middle of October, we receive several new little baby kittens. Right now we have over 60 of them in foster care. That means that in the next 4 to 6 weeks, the shelter is going to be packed with tiny little kittens. So sometimes that makes these older kittens less attractive because they have the appearance of an adult without the advantages of getting an older, mature, quiet cat. These guys are bigger in size, but they're still kitten in nature. They want to play with things and they want to do things, and they're just learning about the world. So as with all of our adoptable cats, she'll be spayed, and she's already started on her vaccinations. We'll give you a voucher to take to your vet to get her rabies shot. And as you can see, even though she's only a year old, she's quite the mellow cat and very friendly with people. She doesn't know me at all, so she's being very nice to sit on my lap and let us film her. And some of the things that you can do if you are not considering adopting right now to help Daisy in her future is you can go to petfinder.com. and you can find her profile on there, and you can put it on your social networks. If you have Twitter or Facebook, or if you're allowed to post things at work, then you could print her Pet Finder profile and post that at your office to see if anyone might be interested in a kitten like her. We have a photographer who comes to the shelter every week and takes lovely pictures of all of our adoptable pets, just so that the Pet Finder profile will be as attractive as it can be. And then we have volunteers who come in and get to know the animals and write a little story about what happened to them, such as her situation. Family moved and couldn't bring her with, so that people can get that information from Pet Finder and try to make a good match for them. If you are interested in helping her out, consider passing her picture on. And if you are interested in adopting, then by all means, come to the shelter. We have a lot of cats right now, and I'm sure we can find one that matches everything you're looking for. We are back with Susan, and Susan came to us as a stray, so of course we made up her name. And sometimes people read on an animal's profile that a dog or cat was a stray, and they feel like they would rather have a previously owned pet. So I wanted to clarify for everybody what that actually means. Although she is written down as a stray, she came from an apartment complex where the residents were evicted, and the landlord called us and said there has been a cat left behind. So she actually is owned. It's just that we don't have any information from her previous owners. They did not show up at the shelter to claim her. They did not get in touch with the landlord so that he could let them know that she had been brought here. So we made up the name Susan. That's not the name she was going by before, and of course she won't care if you change it. She is a beautiful brown tabby with a little bit of tortoiseshell mixed in, so she's quite pretty. We estimate that she's about 3 years old, and of course we will spay her here. She has been started on her vaccinations, and we will be able to pass on to you anything that our vet found, which was that she's healthy. While she was here, we've treated her for fleas. So it is really a great deal to get your pet from the animal shelter, because should you get a free kitten, you would need to start the vaccines, make an appointment for spay or neuter, litter train the kitten, all kinds of things that if you get a shelter cat, we take care of for you. So it is really a great deal to come here if you are willing and see the cats that we have available. And Susan is looking at birds out the window, so I may have to wrestle her back onto my lap in 1 second. There's a big robin that's tormenting her out the window. So if you think that Susan might make a good match for you or someone that you know, then as I said, with Daisy, you can pass her picture around, or you can come in to meet her and see if there's magic. We are back with Couscous. This is our third adoptable cat of the day. And Couscous is a neutered male 2-year-old cat who came to us because his family could not afford to keep him any longer. And so that's an important question to ask yourself if you are thinking of getting a cat or any pet, is how much does it cost to have a pet? So one of the things that Couscous will need is an endless supply of kitty litter, and obviously some cat food. Certainly some cats get by very well by eating some fresh meat table scraps, but some cats really won't eat anything but their food. I don't know if you remember Morris of 9 Lives, but he was known to be a finicky cat because he only liked one certain flavor of cat food, and that's all he would eat. So the other thing that cats need is a regular vet visit. So while you don't have to take indoor cats to get a plethora of vaccines very often, if cats go to cat shows, they need that. If they have access to outdoors, they need that. Certainly kittens get that here, and these cats all get boosted before you take them home. But sometimes that makes people forego the annual checkup. And if you think about it, if a cat only lives 13 or 15 years, then taking the cat to the vet once a year is like going to the doctor once every 5 years. And although we all may very well do that, it is not the best preventative medicine program. So an annual vet visit, if not 2, is a really good idea for cats. And some cats need, usually when they get older, but some cats need to have prophylactic dental cleaning. It just depends on their genetics and if they have gum disease. And some cats, like Couscous, could use a little weight loss program. Now, cats don't have coronary artery disease like people do from being overweight, and they certainly don't have problems digesting a lot of meat. Sometimes people with heart disease are told to stay away from red meat. But an overweight cat is at an increased risk for diabetes. And why you would care about that is that can be an expensive endeavor to regulate your cat on insulin. But more importantly, it really is a lifestyle change, because if you have a diabetic person in your family or a pet at your house, then they need to have insulin a certain time every day, and they need to eat their meals the same time every day. So it can be a little cumbersome and easily prevented in most cats by keeping their weight to a normal level. Now, in Couscous's case, he's not suffering any skin problems or health problems from his weight. And certainly while he's here, we will be watching his calories, so hopefully he'll reduce a little bit while he's here. But in the cages, they don't get a lot of exercise, and as we all know, that really is the best way to take the extra weight off. So that is hopefully in Couscous's near future. If you are interested in adopting him or any of our other cats, please come by the shelter. And of course, you can always call us and ask us for more information about any particular cat. We'll tell you whatever we know. Really the best thing to do though is bring the whole family in, see if there's any perfect match. Sometimes people will come in and tell me that they are looking for a cat that looks just like their previous cat. They want a black one with tuxedo markings, and then sure enough, they turn the corner and fall in love with a tiger striped kitten. So you just never know until you meet. So I encourage everyone to come by the shelter and see who's here. You never know what's meant to be. My next guest is Balky. And Bulky has beautiful blue eyes. Some people call this type of cat a Siamese mix, which is a good way to describe him because then you know to look for the blue eyes and the colors at the ears and tails and paws. But technically, he just has the same genetic color pattern as Siamese, and he might not be part Siamese at all. But the genetic coat pattern that allows the color to be on the ears, tails, and feet and gives him the blue eyes is the same one that gives Siamese cats their markings. And because he is red on his points, as they're called, he is called a flame point, and it is a beautiful color of cat. If for those of you who remember Tiger, who was on the last episode, Tiger has the exact same color pattern with long hair, and Tiger is still here and still available for adoption. If, like me, you think that these cats are quite beautiful. And Bulky, I don't know if you can tell how much bigger he is than Daisy. She was a tiny petite cat, and he is the same age. He's between 1 and 2 years old, just as Daisy is. And it's not necessarily a typical difference between males and females, but cats do have an adult weight range of anywhere from 5 or 6 pounds up to 12 or 13 without being overweight. And then, of course, cats that overeat can be much heavier than that. And even some Maine Coons, if you're familiar with that breed, it's a very large, long-haired cat breed. They can even weigh 20 pounds not being overweight. So if you, like I, think that Bulky is quite beautiful, then you might want to come and meet him. He's also got a great temperament. We have given him his rabies shot, and he has gone on events off-site, so we know that he's good in the car, gets in and out of the carrier, and can handle going out and about. He's not nervous at all about coming to the TV show. He actually does want to get down and walk around in the room, which is a testament to his outgoing personality. And we color code our cats here, as you all probably know, in blue, orange, or green. And blue is for cats that just let us do anything. We can clean their ears, look at their teeth. Orange is for a normal cat like Bulky, who likes people, likes to be picked up, doesn't mind being restrained. And then we color code our inexperienced cats green. And those would be cats who may be very young, or perhaps we're not sure that they grew up inside of a home, maybe a barn cat that is willing to approach people and friendly, but might not have a lot of experience with dogs or little kids. And that can also help you to make a selection when you come to the shelter. A lot of people tell us when they come to the shelter, they're overwhelmed. They say, oh my gosh, there's about 50 cats back there. How do I decide? Well, one of the ways you can decide is if you tell us 2 or 3 things that you want to be able to do with your cat, then we will tell you if you should look at blue, orange, or green name tags. And then that makes it much easier. And that's what we want to do, make it easy for you to pick one of our animals to be your new family member. This little guest is a very special guest. This time of year, between April and October, as I've said, we get over 1,000 kittens at the animal shelter. And while that number year to year sometimes is a little better than others, we have this generous group of people. It's our foster families. And what our foster families do is they take little tiny kittens like this and bring them into their home, sometimes with their mother, sometimes with no mother, and they might bottle raise them, they hand feed them, they teach them to use kitty litter, they teach them not to climb up the drapes and to get along with dogs. And the reason I have her in this little bunting is because, as you know, I just had adult cats on my laps, and so she cannot, I have to wash my hands all the way up to my elbows, and she can't touch anything that adult cats have touched yet because she is not, does not have her full immunity. And as gorgeous and beautiful as she is not available for adoption yet. What's going to happen first is that she got some shots. So she is going to, with her litter mates, of which there are 5, she is going to go into a foster home where she will be raised up until she is 3 pounds, and then she will come back to the shelter for adoption. So if you have been waiting to get a kitten, then now is the perfect time to start planning, because we have over 60 kittens in foster care right now. And in the next 4 to 6 weeks, they will be arriving at the shelter, bouncy and all checked out and ready to go into their new lives. And sometimes, she's watching birds out the window, sometimes people ask us if they should take 2 kittens because they don't want to separate 2 kittens that are playing together and having a really good time. And you can do that. Sometimes kittens from the same litter get along for their whole life. But you can also take 1 because when kittens are 9 or 10 months old, they tend to disperse naturally and want their own space and want their own territory. So if you get a kitten that is 12 or 13 weeks old, then you'll be her family until she's 9 or 10 months old when she naturally wants a little bit more independence. So you don't have to feel bad about not taking 2, but certainly you can take 2 litter mates together in case you were thinking of getting 2 cats and want to make sure that they'll get along as they grow up. If you are interested in meeting any of our tiny kittens, she's of course not going to be available until she gets out of foster care and is all checked out for health and had her vaccines. But over the next 4 to 6 weeks, we have 60 kittens waiting in the wings for some space. If you are not interested in taking on the rough and tumble kitten, and believe me, she is just in a nap phase right now. She is not like this all the time. So if you are not interested in a rough and tumble kitten, then please come by and meet some of our adult cats because they will soon be crowded out by the babies on the way. Eddie is a black and tan hound or terrier of sorts, and he was found in the Spring Ridge area, and no one has come forward to claim him. It's a little bit unusual because he's a middle-aged dog with lots of experience. He likes people. He lets us cut his nails, brush him, look at his face. Eddie. He has a lot of manners. He didn't pull on the leash too much, which is rare for a hound. So chances are that he is someone's dog. And 70% of the dogs that we receive as strays are reclaimed by their owners within the first 5 days. So it is unusual for a lovely, nice dog like Eddie to end up with no home. But as far as shelters go, you know, 30% of the stray dogs that we get are just lovely, lovely pets, and we never get to find out how they ended up in the shelter, and we never have someone come forward to claim them. So this is an opportunity for you because Eddie certainly has been brought up right. He has good manners. He likes people. He's cute. He's the perfect size. He's short-haired. I just can't think of a reason he wouldn't make a lovely family dog. The one thing we don't know is his behavior with cats. So, and he has nice leaning on me behavior, which is a sign of his affection for people, which we like very much. And you may not know that on all of the dogs that we get here at the shelter, stray or not, we do what we call a behavior assessment, where we give them a toy and try to take it away, and we give them delicious food, and then we do take it away. And so we just want to see, are they used to people and mistakes that people make in animal handling, and how do they handle it, so that we can then pass it on to you. It's not uncommon for us to have little chihuahuas that are snippy about having their food taken away, or that we might have beagles that were hunting dogs that are very shy around new people because they're used to living in a backyard and just having one handler. So we can pass all that on to you. And what we can tell you about Eddie, or whatever Eddie's name is that he knows people. So he definitely has a lot to offer. And certainly if you know someone who is missing their beautiful black and tan dog from the Spring Ridge area or thereabouts, please let them know that he could be in the shelter. I am often surprised how many people I meet that have not been to the shelter before. And I even met a woman this weekend who was missing her dog at the border of Montgomery and Frederick County. So she was looking for information about how to reach our shelter, Frederick County Shelter. It's something that if you have a dog, you don't think about. You don't think about what if your dog just ran off one day and didn't come back. So it is a good idea to know the local shelter and the phone number and keep that in your cell phone in case you're away from home with your dog and your dog runs off. Something that you can do is to put a sock or t-shirt at the place you last saw your dog and anchor that down with something heavy, and then come back to that spot a lot. What usually happens when a dog takes off after a deer or rabbit or whatnot is that they go as far as they can, they get tired, then they circle back to where you last were. And because of course you didn't stay there, they start trailing you and following the path you took to look for them. So for hours, you guys could be circling each other. If you put your sock or t-shirt down, then sometimes the dog will come back to where he last saw you and settle in there, hoping that you're gonna come back because your stuff is there. So that can work out really well. It's also harder for dogs to find sources of fresh drinking water I know there were kitties there, than it is for them to find food. So you might also want to leave a bowl of water there until you're able to find your dog. But you can check out on the internet lots of tips on what to do if your dog is lost. The first thing to do is report it to animal control. And the second thing to do is to go out looking and make sure that your phone number has an answering machine in case anyone calls you about seeing the dog. We are back with Rue, and Rue has recently been groomed. We shaved off all of his tangled up hair, and so he normally is a Shih Tzu. It looks kind of different right now. So if you adopted a dog like Rue, you could certainly elect to take him to a local grooming shop and keep his hair short just like this. Or you could let it grow long, and it really does get significantly longer. One of the nice things about long-haired dogs is that when their hair falls out to be replaced, it tends to stay on their coat, and that means that you need to brush them. So it's easier to clean up after them. Some people think that short-haired dogs will be easier to take care of because their hair is short. They don't really need to be brushed regularly. They can just be rubbed down with damp washcloth, but their hair sheds like pine needles. So you do have to consider just what's right for your lifestyle, vacuuming or brushing the dog, either one. And sometimes people have heard that there are hypoallergenic dogs or non-shedding dogs, and that doesn't really exist. A non-shedding dog would be a dog like Rue. The hair still does get replaced, but it sticks to the coat and has to be brushed out rather than falling off on your belongings. Now, Rue has an interesting story. He is super cute, as you can see. He lived with 7 cats and 3 other dogs in a very busy household. And the profile that we have from the previous owner is just so sad. It says he doesn't like men, he doesn't like women, he doesn't like cats, he doesn't like other dogs. And since he has come to the shelter, we have found none of that to be true. So we're not at all sure if, maybe once he settles in and feels safe here, his spoiled personality will come out and he'll be a little hellion. But we do a behavior assessment on all of the dogs, and it just doesn't seem like that's the case. He's a little bit shy, and he likes to be carried. He loves people. He loves getting on people. He'll walk on a leash. So I just don't know what to tell you about the story we had from his previous owner. But one of the reasons I wanted to put him on the TV show was to explain that, because I would imagine right now his ear itches. He's just trying to use me as a scratching post. But one of the things that can happen is people come in and see, oh, how cute he is, and then come up and ask to look at his profile. Then they read his profile and go, oh my gosh, he doesn't get along with anyone, never mind. So really, we encourage you to take the animals out, to hold them in your arms and see what they're like, because this is a snuggle bunny. And while he does, he doesn't try to, lunge at other dogs who go past his cage. So we're really not sure what the training issues might have been or the behavior mix at his other home, but definitely they brought him in because he wasn't a good match for them. And he just seems to be, everything a Shih Tzu can be while he's been here. So certainly if you are interested in him, we will help you. We'll talk about house training and target training and crate training and just everything that you might want to know to take a new little dog home with you. And and we'll share everything that we know about him, especially the fact that his profile said he had some training issues. But we are not finding it to be true in the shelter, as you can plainly see. So if you think that Rue would make a good match for you, or someone that you know, then please come in and meet him. And about his issues with other dogs, we have not seen here, but should you have another dog and you want to make sure, then we do welcome you. We don't make you, but we do welcome you to bring your dog and have us let them meet here and see if they like each other, because then that can allay any fears about reports of his dark past. This is Snowball. Snowball is a 6-month-old mini Rex that was purchased from a pet store for Easter and then brought to the shelter shortly thereafter. Rabbits are not hard to take care of, but they're so different from cats and dogs that sometimes people are mistaken when they bring home a bunny and think it's going to be a really easy pet. On the one hand, they are easy if you know what they need. They eat hay, just like a horse, so they're very inexpensive to feed. They certainly can have some treat foods like a tiny bit of banana or apple or anything with sugar in it. And of course, they can have leafy greens, and they like those very much. They also need to be able to chew on some fibrous material. Some fruit trees that are not sprayed with bug spray are good, because that keeps their teeth short, and they do need to do that to keep their mouth healthy. The other difference between bunnies and some other pets are, while you can litter train a rabbit, it's not the same as litter training a cat. Cats prefer to eliminate in a hole that they dig. Rabbits eliminate while they're eating. So by providing them a hay basket that they jump into and eat, you can have them mostly eliminate in a litter catch-all, but you can't completely control that. And so sometimes people are surprised by that they have to be cleaned up after when they're allowed to come out of their cage, which does have to happen every day. Rabbits are very agile. You can go on YouTube and look up the herding rabbit, H-E-R-D-I-N-G. This bunny herds rabbits like herds sheep like a border collie. It's amazing. So that will let you know just how active and athletic they are, because that's one of the things that people mistakenly think when they get a rabbit, that the bunny will just sit in a cage and entertain itself and not require a lot of interaction. And that wouldn't be the case. They're very social, and since they're physically active, then that means that you have to provide the outlet for them. One easy way to do so is that you can buy an X-Pen like he is in right now, and his name is Snowball. The people named him when they purchased him from the pet store, but he certainly can change his name to get an X-Pen like this, and you can lay down a tarp and set the X-Pen up on a tarp, or you can even take it outside as long as you stay with your bunny, because of course there's some danger from hawks and dogs. Usually they don't attack a pet bunny with someone in the backyard, but it's just something to be careful about, because rabbits are prey animals and they attract predators. So you want to make sure that you keep your bunny safe. The other thing to be careful of is sunshine. Rabbits have to be able to get into some shade. And as you can see, I don't know if you just saw his little digging behavior, if you do set up the X-Pen outside, you want to make sure that you're nearby in case he tries to dig under, because they certainly do try to go out and about and see the world, and it can be a little dangerous for a bunny. You can, believe it or not, teach your rabbit to come when called, and you should, just in case of an escape. There goes the digging behavior. He wants to come out. So if you have been thinking about getting a rabbit as a pet, or you have a family member who's been thinking about it, then let us know. We'll help you. We'll answer all your questions, and come and meet the bunnies we have, because we have many, and hopefully we'll make a good match. Thanks for joining us on Pet Pals this week. Hopefully next week Randy will be back. Everything will run smoothly, and we will have more adoptable animals for you from Frederick County Animal Control. In the meantime, if you would like to share this episode of Pet Pals, there's a link at the bottom of your screen that you can use to do so. If any of the animals on today's episode interest you, or you think you know someone who might be interested, petfinder.com, you can find their profiles. And don't forget about our wish list. If there's a pet you want but haven't seen, let us know. We'll keep an eye out for you.